So as learners come into my team, and again, I'm always trying to balance here. Some people might be quite new to the platform, some people might be very experienced with it. When you come into your team, in fact, if I go back just one wee step here, I've got my classes at the start. I can use the add button to start a new class. We've got videos and guides all about doing that. I can share those links with you later, but I'm going to skip that just now. Here's my team. I've set my tasks in classwork, and there's a few different ways to consider this. The first one for me was I would create topics and put the learning into each topic, which seems dead obvious. It did to me, and I thought I'll put my maths in my maths topic, put my literacy topic. But I was speaking to one of my former colleagues, and she said she's actually been doing it by week beginning, because that was a lot easier to check as the year went on. So if you've got a maths topic, it could get quite full quite quickly. If I go into literacy, let's see, I think I've got a few examples in computing. So let's say I had more, I think it's in another team. I could have 20 computing science lessons and assignments that I've used over the course of the year, and for my learner to go in, they're going to see quite a lot on their screen here. But what I've done is I've adopted that idea. I really liked that, and I thought I would do a week beginning, and in this case I'm having a week beginning for literacy and a week beginning for maths, and that means only the assignments for that week are going to be in that topic. Now again, you might feel even working for it might be January's worth of literacy, so again, it's however you want to sort and organise it, because you don't get folders. This is your equivalent to folders. So do you want to do it by lesson, by curricular area, or do you want to do it by week? However it suits you to create the topics. How do you want to bunch your assignments up? But I would definitely be starting with assignments, with topics, and then create my assignment within them. To create an assignment, you go up to the top, pick assignment, give it a title, add any instructions. For me, and I'll show you an example in a wee second, I'm putting my learning intention, success criteria in there, and the instructions I want my learners to do. I'm trying to belts and braces here, I guess. I'm going to put the written instructions here. I'm then going to add a video. Now I might have a video on my Google Drive, I might do it on my computer, I might upload it to my YouTube, wherever I'm getting that video. And again, I'll show you, I've got an example one set up in a wee second. I'm going to share my video instructing for the lesson. If I've got maybe a PowerPoint or a slides, if I'm using G Suite, I'm going to put my slides in here that might explain it as well a wee bit better. And that means you're capturing learners, whether it's audio, visual, or however they want to see it. If they want to read it, they want to go back and look at it again. You might be considering learners with low bandwidth. If learners are using mobile devices, they're using their mobile phone to access this learning, they're not going to want to use all of their data up on watching videos of you explaining literacy and numeracy. They probably want to save that for their own social media and things. So again, that's another thing to take into consideration, how you're sharing your instructions. Videos are great, but it doesn't suit all learners in all circumstances. So you might want to put a Word document or a Google Doc there for your instructions alongside the video. You might want to transcribe that so that learners and their families are able to access as much as possible on what might be limited data plans. And then again, any materials I need them to do. So if I want them to do a words processed document, I want them to write on docs, I would create a blank doc for them. And that'll attach automatically in here. So for anybody that's kind of new to assignments, that's a quick overview. For me, I'm considering assessment for learning. I'm always turning points off. Which class is it going to? So again, if you've got multiple classes, you can assign it to different classes, or you might have your groups set up as a classroom each. So you might have your different classrooms for different maths groups, and you might assign some tasks to different groups at the same time. Or again, I can just pick particular students within this class. So I just want these 3 students to get this task, and I'll make a differentiated task for the rest of the class. So whoever they're going to, you can change that here. You can put it into your topic here. So I'm going to add this one into my maths topic. I'll come back to rubrics in a wee second, and if I add some information, it will allow me to assign that. I'm just going to save it as a draft just now though. So that's creating an assignment through classwork. Now here's one that I did earlier. So if my learner picks maths, they can see there's my draft one that I've not finished, but here is my fully made assignment. And it means that when my learner accesses this, and again, a wee part here to consider is, although I'm saying it should only be learners accessing their their Glow account, I can absolutely appreciate there's going to be times where might be a younger learner in particular, or somebody a wee bit less confident comes on and goes, you know, Mum or another adult at home, I'm stuck, do you know what I have to do here? So absolutely there'll be times that adults will look at it. So I'm also considering a wee bit as well that really the learning task I'm setting here is for a family to see. So it might be for the learner, but also for the adults with them at home and how they are able to support that. So if I need them to know things, I've put as much as I can in here. Some of it's maybe more useful for adults than the learner, but I'm trying to cover all my bases so that they can have as much success with this as possible. So my learner will click the assignment and it will take them into it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open it up by a wee second. My student view. So when I've created this, looks similar to the page I showed you just a wee second ago, but this one's completed. So I've got my success criteria. I've put in instructions as much as you're perhaps watching it going, obviously I would, you'd be amazed the number. I've seen loads and loads of examples. I was guilty of doing it myself sometimes. You would just create a task and you don't always think that you need to be so explicit for everything. But again, learners are working completely online. It's not blended, it's no mixed delivery, it's no some in school, some out of school. This is, everybody's working online. It probably is new for a lot of learners and a lot of educators as well. So really just try to think, I'm covering belt and braces here, as much information as I can. You can see here it's for everybody. I've set it for Friday the 15th because it's starting week 11th and I've put it in that topic. I've also attached a rubric which just mirrors my success criteria, but I think again it's just an extra bit of belt and braces. I want them to identify the value and I've given them a kind of guidance. So the comments, the feedback phrases I would use in class, whether we're getting there, they need to keep going or they've got it. And again, just a wee written example explaining what it means. And when I give them their feedback later on, it means it's the same language I'm using quite a lot. It becomes consistent and my learners can look at that and they'll know what I'm marking them to, what standards, what's expected of them. How will they know that they've got it because everything's correct? It might seem dead obvious, but again, we're talking about children and young people working in a new scenario, a new situation, or even for their adults at home who maybe don't see this sort of feedback and comments all the time, maybe only occasionally in homework or at parents' night when they come and see jotters in school. So it might not be language that, again, adults at home are expecting, but again, it makes it clear for everybody involved what you're marking to, what the standard is, what's the difference between keep going, you're nearly there and you've definitely got this, and those can be good, bad, excellent, whatever comments you want for those bands, but again, adding information just to make it as clear as possible. For the tasks, what I've done is I've created a video and I just used this with some screen capture software. Again, if you're using G Suite Classroom, your chances are you're using the Chrome browser, and it's maybe worth checking with your Glow key contact or your local authority what video capture you can use. Screencastify is used quite widely. There's a free version, it's a Chrome extension. You can capture 5 minutes of footage at a time for free. There's a paid for upgrade, but that's again up to you, your school and your authority about how that's paid for or accessed, but that is one of the options available. So I've used some software to create a video so my learner can come in, they can watch the video. Hi there, what we're going to be learning today is a wee bit about place value. This might be a wee bit of consolidation for some of you, and it might be something column. So if we drawing dots, lots and lots and lots. For this column a wee bit easier, there's just 3 dots. So I've made a video, nothing to do with G Suite or Classroom. I've made that, I've uploaded it, and I've put it in here. I've added a file, so I've added that from my computer, and it will now also be in my Google Drive. So again, I can reuse that video, I could share it with my colleagues. If I know teacher next door's doing a bit of work on place value, that video might be useful. So again, saving everybody a wee bit of time. I've also put a link in, and this is probably more for the adults at home, to the Education Scotland Maths and Numeracy paper about number processes. Really useful, that's where I've taken my example from. And again, that might just be useful for somebody to go and have a wee look. Let's do place value. And let's see, so here's mention of place value. So this is what we're learning about. I can jump to that in the document and I can say, oh, this is what the teacher's talking about. Yeah, I remember this from school. Whereas they might be looking at that and it's quite abstract, they don't know what they're doing. All of a sudden they look at it and go, oh, tens and ones or tens and units or, you know, whatever that they've learned at school, but they see what you're talking about, and it might even be, again, if you're using this and you're saying, I'm calling it tens and ones and not tens and units, and I'm just well aware, I think Maria might be on the call, I've called it units in my example. So tens, units, tens, ones, whatever, the adult's familiar with what you're teaching to, and it might even be about that language, and they're just familiar that, oh, that's why they keep calling it tens and ones, because that's what the teacher's using. So I put that in link as a web link, and it just goes to the online document. You could download that document as a PDF and upload it here, whatever suits. Again, the lesson, what I want them to do, in fact, it's probably easier if I show you the task first. So what I want them to show me is their understanding of place value. So I've used Jamboard for that. I like Jamboard because I can write and draw on it just like a whiteboard or a jotter, and it's pretty open-ended how I access it. So I can write on it with my pen. So I can just use, that's me just using my touchpad and my laptop to scribble away. Now my laptop's got a touch screen. Lots of learners might be using mobile devices, iPads, tablets, phones, or even laptops and Chromebooks that have got touch screen as well. So they can utilise that even more effectively with their pen. If they're not familiar with typing with their mouse, it's a wee bit messy. They can always open up a text box and type their answers.
So although this looks like a 6,
that video's still playing in the background. So they can type their numbers and their letters here, so it can be a wee bit neater and tidier if that's what they want. But if they want to draw their letters with their mouse or their numbers, they can draw them. And again, think about your standards and expectations. As long as I can tell that's a 3 and my learner's accessing this on a mobile phone and that's the best 3 they can draw, then I'm not going to split hairs on that. So I want them to talk about the number. I want them to show me the tens and the units or tens and ones. And then I want them to use these Dean's materials. Now, I've attached 2 videos. I'll show you the other one in a wee second, where I'm using lentils and chickpeas to represent tens and units. And I've also used these online materials because they might not have a bag of chickpeas going spare. They might not have those things in the house. You might not have bags of counters and dice and things like that. So I'm trying to think about either, I've done one video where you can do it with household objects if you've got them, and I've done this other one using the MathSpot manipulatives, because if learners don't have things, enough objects in the house to count, they've not got dried foods going spare and things like that, thinking again about equity, so they can access these manipulatives from MathSpot. And again, I'm quite fond of it. I think these are fantastic resources. So what I'm asking a learner to do is, again, now with Jamboard, they could be drawing those, they could be getting the pen and drawing, you know, individual counters in blue and try to colour them in, but we're talking time consuming here. Try to get things that represent, you know, that's a unit and this is a 10, and try to colour those and make them repeatable. So rather than sit and try to colour in drawings, I just want them to go and use ready-made manipulatives. So there's a unit, if I need to duplicate it. So I've got 4 units, 4 ones, sorry Maria, and I can copy my tens here. So I've got 2 tens, and I've got 4 ones, I've got 24. So MathSpot's great for them being able to represent those things visually. And again, I'm just using my Windows desktop here, so depending on the platform your learner's using, if it's a mobile device, they probably want to do a screenshot or a screen capture, and then they can upload that as an image to their Jamboard, and I'll show you why I'm talking about Jamboard in just a wee second. I'm going to use ScreenSnip here, which is a Windows tool that's built in. There's the image I want. Use my shortcuts, Control and C. I'm going back to my Jamboard, and let's just go back to a blank one. And I can paste that onto my page here, and my learner's now got a really good image. It's no scrappy, it's no rough, and they can start to annotate on that and tell me that this is the equivalent of 20 and this is 4, and that they've added them together, or that they've counted on from 20 and went 21, 22, 23, 24. So they could add information like that that would tell you that, or they can show you that they understand this is 10 and 10 and this is 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. Whatever it is you happen to be teaching them about that, whatever you need them to show you, they can do it just like they could on a whiteboard or a jotter in the classroom. And for me, that's going to be a first step for a lot of teachers and a lot of learners, is it's stuff they're familiar with the classroom. How can I do that online? There's loads of great things you can do online that are very different from the classroom, a lot more creative, a lot more open-ended. But again, I'm thinking for a lot of teachers, you're maybe thinking, how do I just get started? How do I pick up the learning I left in December, ready for January? So I've created a video. If I go back to my assignment, there's a video explaining that. There's a document there for the adults to support at home. I've put a link to the manipulatives. Again, they don't have to go and find MathSpot. If I'm suggesting they use MathSpot, they could use anything they like. But if I'm thinking MathSpot, I'm giving them a link to that website. So everything they need's here. The task is here for them. And I've also got a quiz at the end. I'll come to the quiz now just a wee moment. So on a Jamboard, and again, if you're not familiar with Jamboard, I'm going to come out of the assignment a wee second. If you're in Classroom, you go up to the top, your app selector, and it's in the second set here for me. There's Jamboard, and you can open up the Jamboard app. You'll see all the other Jamboards that you've done. Make a new one with the add sign in the bottom right, and it'll start you a blank Jamboard. The Jamboard I'm working on, I've obviously added to it in the first place, so I'm not just giving my learners a blank page, I'm giving them a bit of scaffolding that I want them to work in. So the example I've done in the video is I've got the number, I've split it into its tens, its ones, and then I've replicated that using the Dean's material. Now again, you could have them doing 1, 2, 10. You know, if you're doing the one with coins, for example, you could ask them to make you £1.20 using as many different coins as they like, and they could be there all day doing £1.20 and 1 pences or 2 pences. But those sort of tasks where you can ask them to really think, really be active and engaged, where they're having to come up with different ideas and strategies. Do they know the strategy of starting with the biggest coin each time and then working down? So they could do that on the page, and they can just duplicate over and over, and they could be creating loads and loads of examples, screen snip and put it into Jamboard. Again, if they're doing it with their mobile phone or their iPad, they can add an image, and they can either use the camera on their device. So if they've accessed Jamboard on their mobile phone, they can simply take a picture of the concrete materials they're working with, or if they've drawn on a bit of paper or a whiteboard, they can take a photograph and upload it, or if it's already something they've done, they can take that from their Google Drive and upload the image here. So I can take a screenshot here and insert it, and that'll go straight into my Jamboard, just like the one I copied and pasted. So a few different ways of doing that, and that's what I like about Jamboard. It's quite flexible. So there's my worked example. That's what I want you to do. I could even title that worked example. So again, I'm thinking about adults at home supporting. There's what I'm thinking about doing. And the maths is nothing groundbreaking, the numeracy is nothing groundbreaking here, I don't think. But just try to think about how do you get them to use concrete materials or use a pictorial representation, but they're still working with manipulatives. So the number is 17. I want them to make me a picture of the number. Now they could draw that. They could do it with chickpeas and lentils like I did in my other video, and they can put a photograph here by uploading an image, or they can make it with the Dean's materials. They could use both, and then again they're splitting the number in, so they're showing me here hopefully that it's a 1 and a 7. It's 1, 10 and 7 units. They understand that. And again, a few examples, and then what I'm doing is I'm giving them a blank example. You come up with a 2-digit number this time. In the video, my instructional video, I also asked them, you might want to think about, what do you wonder, or what do you notice about some other numbers? What might the next column be? And you might have some clever cookies there that you might be working with quite young learners, and they already know that there's hundreds, and they know the next column's hundreds, so they can go and make their own examples of larger numbers, or they can, again, the blank pages at the end, add in a new one each time with the right click, the right arrow up here, and you can add as many pages as you like. So if that engages your learner, they could have 20 examples done in a week, and you've only asked for 5, but there's lots of them to keep on going. Just a wee bit about sharing. I'd make the Jamboard first, like this. If this is something you want to do, make my Jamboard like this, go up to share, and there's a few options about how you share this. So you've got to change the link. That's automatically set for me to anyone in Education Scotland. That's effectively my local authority. So you might need to change that to, you know, whether it's just the pupils, and then you need to invite them by email. That's probably going to be fine if that's for you, if it's your school or local authority, that heading. I'm going to make it just now, so that if people ever look at this example, they can, anyone with a link. And then you've got to also check whether they're a viewer or an editor. So I want my learners to access this. I'm making it editor, and then I've got to copy that link before I click done. To then share that as part of an assignment. You can't make a Jamboard as part of an assignment, unfortunately, not yet. but I can add a web link. If I add the link and put the Jamboard link in there, it's going to add my Jamboard. That's how I've added that in as part of it. Now you can see it automatically comes up that students can view the file. I can change that to edit, but there's another option there, and for some reason, if you've already made the assignment or you've already added a Jamboard, when you add another, or if you delete it and add it again, it only lets you do view or edit. But there's a third option, which is a copy for each student, and I'll show you that in my literacy task that I'm just going to come to in a wee moment. So if you want them to read only, you want them to look at information, you can make it view. So if you've got a worked example, you want them to look at it but not touch it. That's my worked example for everybody to see. You make it view only. You can make it edit for collaboration, so everybody in the class can now access this Jamboard. So if I was doing something like, what do you know about the number 25, and I want everybody in the class to contribute to that same document, like having a big sheet of paper in the desk and have everybody to carousel and add that kind of class conference style, I can do that with a Jamboard as long as it's edit the file, but it's the third option that's probably the most useful for assessment, and I'll show you that in a wee second with the literacy one. So the last task, and I say I'm thinking this is maybe a week's worth of learning. Maybe some of your learners, if they're P7, they're going to get through more of this in a day. But the beauty is, again, you can just copy this assignment. So if that is Monday's learning rather than a week's learning, you should be able to just copy that, make a copy and redistribute it, but you can change the files that are on there. So I don't need that video this week, or I'm going to keep that video because we're still learning about the Dean's blocks and the place value, but I don't need this form anymore. I'm going to delete, or they don't need this Jamboard, I'm going to add a new Jamboard in there. So it's really useful, the fact that everything's, you can just copy it over there. So the last wee bit I just want to show then on the maths, the numeracy, is using a form. So I've used Google Forms here, and what I've added in is I've put a video on at the start. I told you I'd made one.
One chickpea, but that's the same as having 10 of
the exact same concept, but I've covered it twice just to be sure. My learners have got concrete materials, they've got the online manipulatives, so teaching the same thing but with two. I'm not suggesting you make 2 videos for everything, for those who have and those who don't, but just considering you might want to do a wee bit of each and showing them that you've got the different resources as they require, so they can watch that video and then they can go and have a shot at these questions. So what does the numeral represent in number 43? They should know it's 4 tens, and as they mark it and go through 6 units this time, what number's represented? This time it's not multiple choice, I'm looking for an answer, I'm looking for an input here. Let's put in the wrong answer, just so you can see it in the feedback. And the last part here I think is really useful, and it's quite often overlooked. I've created an add file section at the end, so if I've got 4 or 5 questions and they require any kind of working, or learners to show how they got an answer, they can do that on a whiteboard, they're doing a sand pit, they can write it however they like, and take a photograph and upload the photograph as their evidence. So you could have a maths quiz of 10 questions here and then ask for the working to be done on a separate piece of paper. They take a photograph and upload it. When I go to add file, it's going to ask me again, do I have one on my device or one that I've used before? If you're using a mobile phone, you should have the option there to either take the picture here, or you take the picture and then you select the file from your device and it'll go into your documents and find your image that you've just taken there. So you can add a photograph as an answer, as I knew I was missing it. Looking straight at it, so the form that I created for my learners was this one about place value, and again just a wee quick how-to on forms. So I've added a new question. You just click below, so when you're on a question, you'll have the option here to copy a question, to duplicate it, or on the right hand side to add a question. Each time you add a question, you can choose whether it's multiple choice, a short answer, a big long paragraph, a file upload. You can use tick box, so there's quite a few different ways you can answer questions here. So in the first part, I clicked on this first wee section and I've used add a video from YouTube. So I made that video on my iPad, uploaded it to YouTube, and that means I can link to it here. If the video's not on YouTube, it's in your Google Drive or something, what you can do is take the link for that and put it in as text, and it will come up in the question as a link, and the learners can click the link and watch the video anyway. So here's my flipped learning, watch the video and then use that to try and identify the numerals in each number. Now what I've done is multiple choice, and if I select this here, you can see I've got this option for answer key. So you can assign points. I don't want points, I want them to think about the feedback comments rather than the score. And I can tell it which one is the correct answer. So if I click on it, that will make it the correct answer. So I can have multiple correct answers or just one, and that automates it. It takes a wee bit of marking away from me, and it means that my learners can get instant feedback at the end. And the other part I think is really useful is the feedback for answers. So you can give them feedback for the correct answer, well done, and you can give them feedback for the wrong answer. So it's not quite, try watching that video again, and it means I can give them instant feedback, and feedback is consistently proven to be one of the most important parts for moving learners' understanding forward. So I can keep coming back here, and my learner I'm giving them the feedback to go and watch the video again. The video should have the answer. That's what we've been learning about, that's what I've been teaching. Watch the video and try it again. You can also add web links here, or a link to a YouTube video. So if you've got a video that's external, you can search here. You might have, let's have a look for place value. I'd also check the video before I added it. I should be able to find YouTube. Here's a video about place value, insert it, and it means if the learner gets that wrong, they are getting some instant feedback on their quiz. And again, I'm using my quiz. I would be suggesting to my learner that that's Friday's connectivity. It's summative, it's something we're doing at the end, and it's probably more useful for things like retrieval practice, to say, can you go back and recall that information from your Jamboard, the stuff in the video, the stuff in your Jamboard earlier in the week, can you remember that? Can you recall it and use it to answer questions? And again, that quiz can be used over and over again. I can share the quiz to my colleagues if they want to use something like that, make their own version of it. So again, you can make copies, and you can add collaborators, you can add, get different people to do different bits. Loads of options to go in there. What I get to see is the teacher. I go into responses, and what I can see here is the answer. So it's giving me all this kind of wider data if I've got more answers, but I can have a look here. So the learner who's responded to this, they get this answer, looks like I got that one correct, that one was correct, get this one wrong. So you can go and have a look at which pupils have made mistakes at which questions, or if there's a question that's tripping quite a few pupils up, you can view it by the question and see how many people got that one right or wrong. And again, that will help inform your next steps as the teacher as well. So forms have got loads of potential. I think we're probably going to have a session all about forms in itself. So again, if you're feeling that's new and I've covered it very quickly or very briefly and skipped over some bits there, we'll have sessions about forms. We've already done videos about forms previously as well. There's loads to go into there. I'm just trying to give again a kind of overview for the day. So that was my numeracy example